Hey everyone, sometimes you can find an entire world hidden inside a single word. Today, we're going to do just that. We're going to build out a culture, its society, its entire philosophy, all starting from just one word. Let's see what it has to show us.
Okay, so listen to this name. It's spoken by a character, Jaru, and he's introducing the woman he loves. The name is Pepi Kalalawaska. Yeah, I know, it's a bit of a mouthful, right? But trust me, that name, it's a key that's going to unlock everything.
And that's really the big question for today, isn't it? What can just one name tell us about a whole world? I mean, really tell us about how a society thinks, how they build their cities, even how they understand something as personal as love. So let's find out together.
All right, first things first, we need a little bit of context. We've got to understand the exact moment this name is even said. So picture this. We meet Pepi just as her beloved, Jaru, is introducing her to his cousin, Caranthos. Now, this is a really warm, personal moment. And when Jaru uses her full, formal name, he's doing so much more than just being polite. He's basically wrapping her up in respect and pride. It's a big deal. Okay, now for the fun part. Let's actually break that name down. The real magic, it's all in the ending. It's in the grammar that literally shapes the identity of this whole world. So the first piece of our puzzle is this little suffix wa. In the Arreqqana language, that tiny sound immediately tells you we're talking about the coast. You can almost feel it, right? It brings up this sense of flow, of tides, salty air, a life totally connected to the sea. It's not just a place on a map, it's an entire lifestyle. Then you've got the second piece, sha. Now this adds a totally different layer. This one is all about social status. It signals something ceremonial, refined, respectable. When you hear Shah, you should be thinking upper middle class, families with some real standing, that kind of aspirational vibe. Okay, so putting these two together, this is where it gets really cool. You've got Wa, all about nature, the sea, this elemental force. And then you have Shah, all about society and status. So when Pepi's name ends in Waja, it instantly paints this incredibly clear picture. We know just from that she's a woman of respectable standing from a coastal community. Bam! Just like that. So if Waja can describe a person so well, what happens when it describes a place? What would that actually look like? Well, we see these suffixes pop up in neighborhood names, like Maravawa Shaja. I mean, just listen to that. The name itself translates to Sea of Gentle Homes. How perfect is that? It perfectly blends that coastal, natural vibe with a sense of refined, comfortable living. So let's just try to imagine the atmosphere here. This neighborhood isn't right on the water. It's a little more elegant. It's elevated on these gentle cliffs. You've got palm-lined avenues, bougainvillea everywhere. And from there, you have this constant, distant view of the Sajora Beacon Lighthouse. That one little detail is so important. It tells us this is a place of comfort, for sure, but one that never, ever forgets its connection to the sea, both spiritual and practical. And you know what? This whole philosophy is literally built right into the architecture. The colors, ivory, cornflower blue, navy blue, they're all pulled right from the coast. The materials are coastal stone and stucco. But then look at the details. You've got wooden balconies with these intricate carved seashell motifs, and a formal crest at the entrance with the neighborhood's name. It's that same exact blend we talked about, nature and status, woven together right into the buildings themselves. And of course, this identity totally shapes their daily life. The residents are merchants, scholars, professionals. You can just picture them taking a morning walk on the seafront promenade, then gathering for these coastal tea circles with seaweed snacks and ginger lavender milk. Even their food, from simple snacks to a fancy dish like darajlamo, that's a peppered lamb, it's all tied back to this very specific, refined coastal identity. But hey, no culture is formal all the time, right? To really get this world, we have to look beyond the official stuff. We need to see how this language works on the streets. So if you looked at a map or some official document, a coastal neighborhood is just called a marinawa. It's correct, it's formal, but it's not how people actually talk. Instead, they use slang, and the slang is way more revealing. So kalasha is kind of like saying the spot or our block, but check out the others. Senerwanwa comes from the word for weave, so it's like calling your neighborhood the weave or our crew. It suggests everyone is tightly knit together. And my favorite, Navisja, comes from the word for anchor. So it's the anchored place or the hood. Think about that. For people whose lives are tied to the sea, the metaphors they use for community are all about weaving and anchoring. That tells you just how deep those ideas run. And here it is in a real sentence. Lufehaja laloasha lekwalasha, which basically means, you coming tonight to the neighborhood? But even in casual slang, look how poetic it is. The word for tonight is lalawasha, which literally means moontime. It's casual, yeah, but it's still so deeply connected to the natural world around them.
Okay, so let's bring this all the way back to where we started, back to Jaru and Pepi and that one single enormous name. Because when they're alone, in those quiet, intimate moments, Jaru doesn't call her Papikula Lawazja. He whispers something else entirely. That grand, formal name just melts away, and she becomes his Daljua, his pepper. It's so simple, right? Just an affectionate little nickname. And that contrast between the massive public name and the tiny private one, that's everything. In fact, this very contrast is the core philosophy of the entire Arreqqana culture, and it has a name, Sijamara. It means the weaving of currents. It's all about this sacred balance between Nakia, which is softness, that gentle flow, and Kasor, which is strength, that fiery power. And that, right there, is the ultimate takeaway. Sijamara isn't just some abstract philosophical idea. It's something they live every single day. It is the balance between a grand, formal name that announces your place in the world and a soft, whispered nickname that declares your place in someone's heart. So it kind of leaves us with this final thought, doesn't it? How often do the biggest, most important ideas of a culture, its philosophies of balance, of identity, how often do they show up not in some giant monument or official decree, but in the smallest, most intimate moments between two people? Because maybe that's where you find the real heart of any world.